Hello students, in the previous lecture we did the principle of potentiometer, and the principle was that the potential difference between any 2 points of the potentiometer wire is directly proportional to the distance between the 2 points or the length of the wire, and therefore the potential difference between any 2 points was given as phi into L, where phi was named as potential gradient, that is potential per unit length. So more is the distance of the potentiometer wire, more is the length of the potentiometer wire, less will be the potential gradient. So the potentiometer consists of a very long wire which was shown like this. These were the metallic strips between point A and C. So these are the metallic strips because the wire is several meters long. The same diagram is redrawn in an easy manner just to understand the use of a potentiometer. So instead of these wires which are shown by the band or which are connected to the metallic strips, we have taken a straight wire, just that the diagrams becomes easier to understand the use. The first use is the comparison of EMF of two cells using the potentiometer, or in this same part we can say we are going to measure the EMF of a cell using a potentiometer. In the last lecture, we tried to understand why the voltmeter cannot measure the EMF, because when the voltmeter is connected, small amount of current do flow from it, and therefore we get a terminal potential difference instead of EMF. And then we did the construction or the arrangement of a potentiometer, where we arrived at this conclusion that on this wire you can get a varying potential difference. So on this wire you can get a varying potential difference, and therefore we arrived at a principle of a potential gradient, which is potential per unit length. The unit was volt per meter. So for each meter of wire we get a potential difference between the 2 points. So if we have L meter of length of the wire, we multiply it by phi. So phi was the potential gradient. This was the principle. Now we will use the same principle to compare the EMF of the two cells. So if we have a two cells, one cell will be a standard cell, means its value will be known to us, and the other cell will be of unknown value. So I can compare the two cells, which of these two cells given have a more value or a larger value. Or if the EMF of one cell is known, then the EMF of other cell can be easily found with the help of this potentiometer. Now let us try to understand the diagram of the potentiometer again. So this was our driver battery. Instead of a resistance box, we have a resistance. This arrow indicates that it is a variable resistance. Then this is a key, which when we have a dot, the current starts flowing in it. So as soon as the key is closed, the current will start flowing from this positive terminal, and at junction A it will be divided. Now let us try to understand the diagram. Both are the same diagram, only the difference is here we have taken the wire as a continuously long wire without any bending, and if the wire does not become loose or it remain tight, so we have divided the same wire into a small pieces and made this branch like this. Now one end of the junction A or one end of the wire is connected to the positive terminal of a battery, and another end is connected to a EMF uh, is connected to a cell whose EMF has to be measured. So suppose I want to measure the EMF of a cell. I have a single cell and I have to measure its EMF. Now we know that you can measure a EMF only when the current flowing through it is zero. That is an open circuit condition. So if I have to measure the EMF of one cell, I will take only one cell here. But because we have to compare the EMF of two cells positive terminal is connected to a point A. Another end, that is a negative terminal of both the cell, is connected to. Now this arrangement is a two-way key. The negative terminal of E1 is connected to point 1 say, E2 is connected to point 2, and this 3 is a common point. It is a common to point 1 and common to point 2. So it is called two-way key. So if I connect 1 with the 3, then the circuit is closed having the cell of EMF E1. So this circuit will be considered to be closed from A to E1 to 1 to 3 to G, N1 and then again to 8. So it forms a closed loop. And 2, 3 is open, means E2 is connected but no current will flow or it is not in the circuit. And if I connect 2 with a 3, then EMF of a value E1 is out of the circuit. So it is called as a two-way key, so that we don't need to change the cell again and again, because we have to compare the EMF of the two cell. If we don't have this two-way key, first I will perform an experiment taking one cell at a time, then I remove that cell and bring in another cell E2, and then again I will perform an experiment. Now how the experiment is performed? So basically we have theory as a principle of potentiometer only, and these are its practical, or these are the uses of the potentiometer. Now we know that potential difference between any 2 points on this wire will be directly proportional to the length, and therefore potential gradient is a constant of proportionality which remains constant. Now how the experiment is being performed, or how you will measure the EMF of a cell. Suppose this one end, which is labeled as 3, so this is a two-way key, so number 3 point, or this is a metallic screw-like connection. It is connected to one end of galvanometer. Another end of galvanometer will have only two ends. One will be positive terminal, one will be negative. So from this one end, we have two jockeys. Now this is the condition, this is a metallic conductor. You will see in the laboratory when we will do this experiment, it is called jockey. Jockey is nothing but a metallic rod having knife-like pointed end on one side, or you can say it is similar to this pen. So this is one end is pointed, it is a sharp as compared to this end. So one end have a screw-like system, or we can say it is a knob where we connect this wire to the jockey, and other is a pointed end which is slide on this potentiometer wire. AC is a potentiometer wire. So this point, the pointed end of this metallic rod, it is a metallic rod, rod having knife-like pointed end on one side. So it will be helpful to determine whether the galvanometer shows a deflection or not. We will slide this jockey on wire AC or a potentiometer wire. Now the experiment is simple. First, we close the key. Now as soon as the key is closed, the current will start flowing. Let the current flowing in the circuit is I. Now this current from the battery, B is for battery or it is our driver battery, this current comes to point A. At a junction, and at the same time we assume the AND 1 is connected with 3. So the cell having EMF E2 is out of circuit, and this N2, this is also out of circuit. Now if I touch this jockey on any point of the on any point on a potentiometer wire, and if galvanometer shows deflection, it means the current is flowing through the galvanometer. So this current, when it comes to junction A and this jockey when touched at any point on the potentiometer wire, if a galvanometer shows deflection, means some current is also flowing in it. Say the current is I1. Then the current flowing through this will be I minus I1. Now this I1 current will enter into the cell having EMF E1, so current is entering. This is high potential, the battery is high potential as compared to this cell. So driver battery EMF should be greater than the EMF of the cell to be measured. It means if the cell, if the EMF of the cell has to be measured, its EMF should always be less than the driver battery. Driver battery is a battery which drives the potentiometer. So suppose the cell have a EMF of 100 volt and the driver battery is less than 100 volt, so it will not produce a current. The current will be reversed. So you will not be able to measure the EMF of the cell. So you have to remember that driver battery's EMF should be more than the EMF of the cell which is to be measured. So we assume that this EMF is more, so current will go inside, enter the positive terminal, and it means E1 is being charged. This is for your explanation. Then this I1 comes from point A to 3, then galvanometer shows a deflection, then N1. From this the current coming is I minus I1. From this the current coming is I1. They meet at the junction N1 and then the current flowing is I. Now this is the situation when the galvanometer shows a deflection. We need to find out a point on a potentiometer wire. With the help of this variable resistance, we keep on varying this resistance with the help of a resistance box. Actually, we will connect a resistance box there, and we will vary that resistance from the resistance box, and we will also find out a point where the galvanometer shows zero deflection. It means when the galvanometer shows zero deflection, current flowing through it is zero. So no current is flowing through that cell of EMF E1. So this is an experiment. You have to find out a point on a potentiometer wire where galvanometer shows deflection 0. It is called null point, so it is denoted by N. A null point is a point on a potentiometer wire where no current flow through a galvanometer, and if no current is flowing through galvanometer, it means no current is flowing through this cell. And that was a condition that in order to determine the EMF, the current flowing through that cell should be 0. Now see the situation. We found the null point to be N1. So by varying this resistance and by moving the jockey on the potentiometer wire, we found a situation where the galvanometer is showing zero deflection. It means the current I coming out from driver battery comes at junction A. The galvanometer is not showing any deflection. It means the entire current will flow from A to N1 to C, and then this circuit is completed. So this is the situation. Now we apply, or suppose I want to measure its EMF. I want to measure its EMF and no current is flowing through it. So instead of comparing, let us discuss how to measure the EMF of a cell. And we know that terminal potential difference was equal to E minus IR. And in order that V is equal to E, the necessary condition was I should be equal to 0. Now say that no current is flowing through E1. Now if I want to know the EMF of this cell, I redraw this diagram like this. I take a straight wire and suppose N1 is at this point, say N1, and this length is L1. So here we obtained a null point. Now see this point AN, say this point is D and this point is E. Now AN1 is parallel to DE. AN1 is parallel to DE. And in parallel combination, the potential difference across the 2 points remains same. It means the potential difference between 2 points A and 1 should be equal to the potential difference between DE point. Now if I apply this principle of the potentiometer, I got this length as L1. We have a meter scale below this potentiometer wire. So we can measure this length L1 from the meter scale which is below this wire. Now no current is flowing through this part. No current is flowing through DE. So whatever is the potential difference of A and 1, that should be the EMF of DE. Potential that should be equal to potential difference between D and E. Now if L1 is a length and phi is the potential gradient, phi is the potential gradient, so I will write this as phi, which is a potential gradient constant term. L1 is equal to VDE. Now phi, it is a constant of proportionality, or we know its formula is traverse battery EMF, resistance per unit length upon the total resistance of the potentiometer. So this was your phi value in the last lecture. This is a constant term. So we know phi, that is a potential gradient, that is potential per meter. Now suppose I get this length as say 2 meter. So I multiply this potential gradient by 2 meter. So if for an example phi is given as 5 volt per meter, it means per meter of potentiometer wire have 5 volt as a potential difference. If I have a 2 meter, suppose this length comes out to be 2 meter, so this should be equal to 10 volt. Now VD, no current is flowing through this end, no current is flowing in this line. So whatever is the potential difference of this, it should be the potential difference of this. Now what is the potential difference of this? This D is connected to the positive terminal of E1 and E is connected to the negative terminal. We assume that galvanometer have negligible resistance. So potential difference between DE is equal to the EMF of the cell, say that is E1. So it will be said that the potential difference of this cell is 10 volt. Now no current is flowing and we measured the EMF of the cell. So this is how the EMF can be measured without allowing the current to flow through it. Means you find a null point on a potentiometer wire. Now we come to the comparison of two cells. Now suppose N1 is a null point when and A is connected with N3, that is E1 is in the circuit and galvanometer is showing zero deflection. So we applying Kirchhoff's second law to loop A, N1, G, 3, 1, E1 and A. So we move in this loop. A, N1, G, 3, 1, E1, D and then A. So this is the loop we have to apply the Kirchhoff's second law. Now you are moving from point A to N1. A is connected to a high potential. So you are moving from high potential to the low potential. And when we move from high potential to low potential, the potential difference is negative. So I write minus phi L1. That is the principle of the potential gradient. So this A and 1, yesterday in the previous lecture, we have written that potential difference between A and 1 should be equal to total current into the resistance of this AN. And then we have written I as total EMF of a driver battery divided by the total resistance, and this was written as rho into length of say L1, A and Y. So now this is a constant term that we have discussed. So directly I am writing here the potential gradient. So because I am moving from high to low, the potential difference is written as negative sign plus, now if I move from N1 to E2, 3 to 1, this galvanometer is not showing any deflection. So the potential difference between the point N1, E, that should be equal to 0. So no need to write that potential difference directly. I move in a loop. So from high to low, then I am moving in this direction. And I came across the negative terminal first. So while writing on the right hand side, that was our Kirchhoff law, I will write minus E1. And therefore, the first equation is phi L1 is equal to E1. That is equation number 1. Now, so one set or one part of experiment is over. In the second part, I disconnect this 1 and 3 connection and I connect the point 2 and 3. Again, if galvanometer shows a deflection, the current coming at junction A will also flow through this cell. But again, by arranging this, we find a situation where the galvanometer shows 0 deflection, and suppose the new null point is obtained at N2. This is new, same diagram. Only difference is the wire here is shown in a straight line. Here the wire is bent. So this is the new null point, and let this distance is N2. Now I apply the Kirchhoff's second law to loop A N2 G32 E1 DA. Sorry, E2 DA. So again, this will be equal to minus phi L2 is equal to minus E2. So this can be written as phi L2 is equal to E2, that is equation number 2. Now if I want to compare the EMF of if you want to find out the EMF of a single cell, there is no need to join this E2 in the circuit. Say suppose I want to find out the EMF of cell E1. So I will not connect this, I will not use two-way key, I can directly connect a galvanometer 1 and to the negative terminal. And this will be your EMF. So EMF of the cell is equal to potential gradient into length. And no current is also flowing through the EMF. But because we are comparing, we did the same experiment or same steps twice by connecting E1 battery first and then connecting E2 battery second. Now I take the ratio. So if I take a ratio, L1 upon L2 is equal to E1 upon E2. Now this is your final answer. Now if this ratio, now I have to compare. So if L1 upon L2 is greater than 1, then I arrive at a conclusion that E1 is greater than E2. And if it is less than 1, the opposite of this, that is E1 is less than E2. That is a comparison only. We are comparing. But suppose one of this cell is a standard cell. One of the cell is standard cell. For example, if E2 is known, then E1 can be written as L1 upon L2 into E2. So if one of the cell have a standard value, I can find out the value of another cell. So this is the first use of the potentiometer, and the next use is how to find out the internal resistance of the cell. So if we talk about the uses of a potentiometer, first is it can measure the EMF. Voltmeter cannot measure EMF. So if I have to measure only EMF, I will connect only one cell and I will do one part of an experiment. In the previous lecture, we saw that using the principle of galvanometer, that one can obtain varying potential difference. One can obtain varying potential difference with the help of the potentiometer. So if driver battery is of 100 volt, example that we discussed in the last lecture, so the driver battery is say 100 volt, and if the potential difference across this potentiometer wire is 90 volts suppose, and the length of this AC wire is say 100 meter, then per meter, so for 100 meter we get 90 volt. So if I bring a device and connect it to and at AC point, I will get a potential difference of 90 volt. So I will first find out the potential gradient, that is 1 meter. So 100 meter have 90 volt, so 1 meter will have 90 upon 100, that is 0.9 volt will be there. Now suppose I need only 0.9 volt, I will connect whatever device we have at a distance of 1 meter. So 1 meter will give me 0.9, 2 meter will give me 1.8 volt, like this. So that is how the potential gradient can also be found with the help of the Ohm's law, that is total current is equal to total EMF upon total resistance. Once we get a current I, you can find out the potential difference between point A and C by applying the Ohm's law, that is I multiply by the resistance of AC, where we will have a value resistance per unit length also. So that was our previous lecture, and we arrived all this at this relation. Now we use this relation directly to compare the EMF, or you can say if I perform only one set of an experiment, I can easily measure the EMF of a cell. Now let us see how the potentiometer can be used to determine the internal resistance of the cell. Now the next and the last use of the potentiometer is to measure the internal resistance of cells using the potentiometer. Now this is a diagram which is given in the book. Now we have a two key K1 and key K2. We also have a resistance box at this point, so we can adjust this resistance box in the circuit. Again, this is the cell whose internal resistance has to be measured. Let me draw an internal resistance of this cell. So I have to measure this small r. The diagram is again same, only the difference is the wire is AC wire of potentiometer is shown straight. Now at this junction we have again two part. One is this loop. Let us name this loop as D, E, F, and let this is known as because G is meant for galvanometer, let us name this as H. So one loop or one arrangement is done where we have a cell whose internal resistance has to be measured, the resistance box, a key K2, a loop is formed, and one end of the loop is connected to one end of galvanometer and another end of galvanometer is connected with, again, two jockeys are there. So jockey is only one, but one at a time. We use it. First time we will, again there are two sets of experiment. So jockey will always be a one jockey, but here we show by two different wires. Now how the experiment or how to measure the internal resistance. Now let us say first we find out a null point when K2 is open. When the K2 is open. So first we close the key K1, current will start flowing at junction A. If the galvanometer shows a deflection, suppose I touch a jockey at any point on AC, and if galvanometer shows a deflection, it means the current I is divided here. Say the I1 comes at this point, but the key K2 is open. So here in the first part, K1 is closed and K2 is open. So current, if galvanometer shows a deflection, remember if galvanometer shows deflection, current I at A will be divided into two parts. It will come to D. Again it is a junction, but K2 is open, so it will not go to this point. Current always find a closed path, so it move to E. It flow through this battery, internal resistance from galvanometer to a point, and then it goes like this. So galvanometer shows a deflection, but you have to always find out the null point. Now the null point is found because this K2 is open, so this portion, DH portion, is of no use. No current will be flowing. Even if N1 is a null point, there is no no current is flowing through this cell also, because the galvanometer shows zero deflection. If the galvanometer shows a deflection, it means some current from junction A is divided and it came to this loop. But galvanometer shows zero deflection, so we assume no current is flowing. Now when no current is flowing from this circuit, AN1 is parallel to DH. DH is of no use. This DH is parallel to EF. So in this situation, using the Kirchhoff's second law to the loop, again A, N1, G, F, E, E, D, A, I will find out. So let me apply the Kirchhoff's second law. Again, applying Kirchhoff's second law to loop A, N1. So N1 is the first time we obtain a null point, that is say L. So A, N1, G, F, battery name E, point name E, D, A. So this is the path. This is the path we are following. So galvanometer, then this end, then this end. No current is flowing in. So potential difference across AN1 should be equal to EF, and the potential difference across EF is nothing but a EMF of a cell. That what we did earlier in the previous topic. That is how we find out the EMF. So in the first case, I will write phi of L1 is equal to E1. This is my equation number 1. So this is the EMF of the cell also. So if I want to know the EMF, this will be the part, and the experiment is over. So the potential difference across AN1 is equal to potential difference across DH is equal to the potential difference across EF. That is the EMF, sorry. So let us name this as E. And K2 is open. So there is no question that a current is flowing through this path D K2 resistance box H. And I get this equation. Now in the second part, K1 is closed, and now K2 is also closed. Now if I close this K2 and the galvanometer shows a deflection, if a galvanometer shows deflection, it means the current I came to junction A, it is divided, it flow through this path, some part of the current comes to D, again some part will flow through it, some part will flow through this path, both this current will meet or pass through galvanometer, then from this point this current and this current will meet, and again I will get I. So galvanometer is showing the deflection. In this situation the current will be flowing, and we assume that the EMF of this cell is very less than that of this battery. Now we have to again find out the null point using the jockey, sliding the jockey on the potentiometer, and we find that the new null point is L2. New null point is L2. It means no current is flowing through galvanometer. No current is flowing through galvanometer now. Now what will happen? This I current will not be divided at junction A. This current I will not go inside this loop because galvanometer is showing zero deflection. So no current is coming to this. But you see this loop, E, D, H, F, E. The loop is completed. There is a cell also. So some current will start flowing. Say the current is I name this current as I dash. So that current will flow through AC dash like this. Galvanometer is showing zero deflection. So this I, this I, this I, and the current will start flowing in this loop. It cannot go out from the galvanometer because the galvanometer is zero deflection, that is a null point. So now this loop is completed. Now this loop is completed and the current is flowing through the cell. It means now we will get a terminal potential difference. You will get a terminal potential difference. So what will be the terminal potential difference? Terminal potential difference will be equal to V is equal to E minus IR. That is a terminal potential difference. So EF, we have a terminal potential difference. DH, terminal potential difference. AN2, that is a terminal potential difference. These are the parallel combination. So if I apply the Kirchhoff law to this portion or a loop, I will get phi L2 is equal to V. Now I will write phi L2 is equal to V, where V is a terminal potential difference. So when K2 is closed, terminal potential difference is V phi is equal to, terminal potential difference phi L2 is equal to V. This is a closed circuit now. So terminal potential difference V is equal to E minus IR, DH parallel, AN2 parallel. So potential gradient multiply by L2, that should be equal to V. So if this is 50 volts, say for example this is 50 volts, so this two end is 50 volt, this two end should also be a 50 volt. So we write phi L2 is equal to V. Now I take a ratio. So taking the ratio of equation 1, taking ratio of equation 1 and 2. So we will get L1 upon L2 is equal to E upon V. So say in the first part, when K2 is open, you get a EMF of a cell. When K2 is closed, you get a terminal potential difference of a cell. Now we concentrate on this loop. We concentrate on this loop. Now if I apply the Kirchhoff's second law for this loop and find out the terminal potential difference and EMF. So suppose I move in the loop E, D, H, F, D, or because I have a loop, let us say the resistance of this resistance box is R. The resistance of this resistance box is R. Now we assume this is R dash, suppose. So when the key K2 is closed, we assume R is a resistance of the resistance box. So when K2 is closed, the cell sends a current through a resistance box. So this is the condition you have to remember. When K is closed, this loop is completed and this is taken as R, the resistance. Now I apply the Kirchhoff law. Either I apply the Kirchhoff law. So applying Kirchhoff's second law to loop, say D, H, F, battery name E and B. This is the situation and the current I is flowing. So I am moving in the direction of current. So this will be equal to minus IR. Then I am moving in the direction of current, minus IR, and I get a negative terminal. So in this loop, we concentrate now only in this loop. This potential difference is obtained, that is a terminal potential difference. This is the EMF, because when we have taken N1 as a null point, the circuit was open. Now this can be written as E is equal to I R plus R. So equation number, say this is equation 3, this is equation number 4. Now what is the terminal potential difference? So if current is flowing through this resistance box having resistance R, so terminal potential difference, or using the Ohm's law, I can write V is equal to IR. V is equal to IR. So there are two ways to find out the terminal potential difference. If this EMF is say 10 volt, this EMF is 10 volt. And if I apply the Ohm's law here, that is I into small r, and if it comes out to be say 1 volt, so the voltage available to this is 9 volt. Or directly I can write I into R. So if I write I into R, it comes out to be say 9 volt. Or I apply E minus IR, then also it comes out to be a 9 volt. So that is a terminal potential difference. Again, I take the ratio of this two so that I is cancelled. So taking the ratio of this equation, E upon V is equal to R plus R upon R. Now we simply compare equation 6 with equation 3. So comparing equation 3 and equation 6, L1 upon L2 is equal to R plus R upon R. We have to find out the internal resistance. Therefore, L1 upon L2 is equal to 1 plus R upon R. This can be brought to this side. So L1 upon L2 minus 1 is equal to R upon R. Therefore, internal resistance is written as the resistance box resistance and L1 upon L2 minus 1. So this is the formula for measuring the internal resistance. You have to remember, internal resistance is equal to the resistance of a resistance box, length of the first null point divided by the length of the second null point. So you will get a null point L1 would be greater than L2 minus 1. So this is how we do the two sets in this part. First, K2 is open, and in the second part, K2 is closed. When K2 is closed, we get terminal potential difference. When K2 is open, you get a EMF, and then we concentrate only on this loop and we find again E and V, and we compare these two equations. So in the first set, you get L1 and L2. In the second set, you get E and V. And when we compare, we get a relation between this internal resistance and the external resistance, or the resistance we have adjusted to obtain the null point. So this is the use of a potentiometer to measure the internal resistance. Have a nice day.